Welcome back, and thank you for joining A Shark's Perspective with your Chief Shark Officer and host. That's me, Kenneth Kinney. As social media continues to evolve, so does the evolution of how we communicate, interact, advertise to, and care for our customers. As that communication flow and the type of engagement continues to change on these channels, customers still want resolution to the problems that they're trying to solve. And there's a void that's really often a blind spot for companies, and it lies somewhere between marketing and sales, customer service, and all the other departments. All the while, your customers simply need a fixer who can simply help them fix their problem via social. So do you have the social team in place to help show your customers that you truly care? Brooks Ellis is the CEO and founder of B Squared Media, a done-for-you social media management, advertising, and customer care agency. She's also the host of the Marketing Companion podcast with marketing legend Mark Schaefer. And on this episode, we'll discuss customer care, social media marketing, management, listening and monitoring, Ray Donovan and how customers need a fixer, tools, chatbots, and wobots, battle-tested employees, crop top selfies, and a lot more. So let's tune into a customer care expert with a shark who really does care about his listeners on this episode of A Shark's Perspective. Brooke, thank you so much for joining us today on A Shark's Perspective. Tell us a little bit about your background in your career today.
Sure. So I've been in marketing for almost 20 years now, which I know I have this baby voice, but don't let it fool you. I'm older than most people think.
Methuselah.
And I've owned, thank you. I've owned my company B Squared Media for 8 years now. So I've been an owner operator for 8 years, but literally I still am in the trenches. I'm still, doing the marketing tasks too. So I've never left that front line. And I really like sales, to be honest with you. I'm the only sales team. I am the sales team for B Squared. So even though I'm a marketer at heart, I actually really like sales too.
Well, I have heard you on the Marketing Companion from early days because I've listened to Mark's show for a long time, but I'm curious now that we're doing this video, is this curtain in your closet? Because I know you do a lot of your recordings in the closet. So this is when you've been a good listener of the show. But it looks like you've set up.
Wouldn't that be amazing if all my clothes were back behind there?
Oh yeah, it'd be fantastic. Yeah. Well, you don't want to know what's behind my palm trees that I've got made up. So
I actually moved. So I'm not in the closet anymore. I'm in an actual office now.
Congratulations.
Thank you, though. But thank you for being a listener and knowing that.
Yeah. Well, so what does B Squared Media stand for? Where's the name come from?
So before I got married, I was Brooke Ballard, and one of my nicknames was B Squared. And as entrepreneurs do, or maybe it was just me, I don't know, trying to come up with a name for the company was just hard. It was beyond me. And media changes so quickly, especially social media, which is what we focus on. So I didn't want to do anything that was going to be non-existent later. So I just went with B Squared Media.
Well, and now that you're Brooks Ellis, BS Media wouldn't be a good fit. So
yeah, that's the running joke. I'm not going to change it to BS Media because that doesn't sound quite right.
Well, one of the things that attracted me to want to speak with you in particular, other than listening to you and Mark on the show, was what you guys do in the online customer care space. And I wish if you would help define at least what that is, as opposed to the traditional social media listening and monitoring that so many agencies do today.
Yes, that's such a great question because I do feel like that's where people get it wrong. So people confuse social media monitoring, which is the basis, right, of all social media, with social media customer care, social media listening. Monitoring is reactive, right? And you have to be reactive. Shark reaches out. He's like, hey, Brooke, I have this question about your product. And I respond. I'm reactive to that. But we need to, if we want to be really good and we want to be strategic, move out of reactiveness and into proactiveness. And how do we do that? We do that through customer care, which not only is reactive to those people who reach out, but we use social listening to help us be proactive so that we're listening for keywords around our products, our services, our stakeholders. We can see when the peers are having those conversations or mentioning that product, and we can join the conversation to proactively see if we can help solve a problem before it even becomes a problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But differentiate the roles then of, and again, I'm all for breaking down silos. This is something I talk about all the time. I'm Don Quixote with a toothbrush trying to knock them over. But differentiate, if you will, what it really means for doing that between the marketing department and the customer care department. And I know you guys I've heard you before talk about working with, these larger scale clients. Even a smaller scale client's going to have one person in customer service and one person in marketing. And obviously the stuff you're talking about, they're only reaching out to you with positive, warm, fuzzy thoughts.
Oh,
Exactly.
only.
Yeah,
Like
no.
there's never any
Love your
complaining on
brand.
social.
It's phenomenal. Yeah. No, but help differentiate what the roles are that you do navigating in between marketing and customer service. Because for so many years, at most, Twitter was really thought of as that sort of conversation complaint central hub, and it's
Mhm.
evolved, but there's still some murkiness with a lot of brands that I've worked with over the years as well.
Yeah, there is a lot of murkiness, and it does differ between companies, but essentially everything is kind of its own, but they're all working together towards customer experience, right? So marketing is marketing. It may or may not be a part of social media. So in some companies, social media sits under marketing. In some companies, social media has got its own whole team. And then there's obviously customer support or customer service. So really all three of those branches kind of own customer support, and they work in tandem. They don't work in silos, and it doesn't work in silos. Honestly, like that's what we're trying to do. Like, let's break down these walls and let's all work together, because we need marketing for the messaging. We need customer service because I've got to sometimes close the loop internally. I can't necessarily close it on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. And let's make sure social media is involved if it is separate from marketing, because obviously they have different goals and KPIs that they're trying to meet. Marketing, when it is separate from social, is very heavy on sales. So we're trying to meet all of these different goals. And unless we can sit down and work together and make those processes work for every one of those teams, it doesn't work quite as well.
So if I'm the brand though, what do you think the pushback is that they're saying that sounds a little consulting agency speak? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No, I know what you're saying, but like here's the deal. Okay, so let's break it down then into some of these scenarios, right? So, scenario 1. Shark comes to us and he's saying, "I'm interested in buying product X. Can you tell me the features and how they differ from competitors' project X?" Now, if we're the person covering social for the brand, if that customer support / manager is covering social, I could go to customer support for that information, but do you think they're going to have that breakdown?
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
I could go to the social media team and they may have that breakdown for me, but do you think they're going to have the best breakdown? No. If I go to marketing, who has that sales specific, marketing and sales, what are they going to give me? Everything. They probably have an infographic. They've got the language written out. They have it all. So
And the
that's
money for the
scenario
tools.
1.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Scenario 2 is, let's say that someone comes to me directly, Shark comes to me directly and is like, "Hi, brand on Twitter. I've been sitting on the phone for 27 minutes and I've just about had it. And if you don't pick up the phone right now, I'm going to go to competitor X." So what am I going to do then? Am I going to go to marketing? No. Am I going to go to social media? No. I'm going to say, because I have customer support role and I'm available on social, "Oh my God, Shark, we are so sorry. We're experiencing higher than normal call volumes right now because it's the holidays and people are returning things. And you know how that goes, 2020 and all that jazz. Is there something you think I can help you with right now here on Twitter?" And you're going to say, "Well, I need to figure out if I can return these for a size 8. "Oh, well, yeah, you can definitely return those for a size 8. How can we help you do that?" "Well, I need a return label." Oh my gosh, why didn't you say so? Here's how to do that. Like, I'm solving that problem right there. He can hang up with internal customer support and I've closed the loop right there. If for whatever reason I couldn't close the loop right there, like, "Shark, here's what I want you to do. I want you to hang up the phone. Nobody needs to sit on hold for 27 minutes. And if you're comfortable, share with me in a private message your email or your phone number, and I will have somebody from the support team get back to you by tomorrow at such and such time," which is, based on our processes. But depending on the brand, I might be able to say within 10 minutes, within an hour, or it might be within 24 hours. It depends on the brand. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
the scenario, I mean, I could keep going, but the scenarios are all so different. So that customer support person is really trained in many different areas and can handle them all and should be able to handle them all because the consumer expects them to. And all of those departments are trying to achieve customer experience or good customer experience, I should
Agreed.
say.
No, and I see the value of it to where I don't know if you ever watched the show Ray Donovan, but you almost need like a fixer to come in that, and
Yes.
there's somebody that needs to be that. But it's hard for a lot of agencies to really understand that because you ultimately, as much as you may care for the client, when you're trying to fix, it's one of those hard roles for people to understand when the agency is trying to help the customer of the customer. And that's very hard for a lot of agencies to understand because they may see themselves as an extension of your team, but the customer doesn't care. They just want their problem fixed. And
That's
so
absolutely true.
what I find, because I went through an audit not that long ago with a lot of different agencies in this space when I was on the brand side, and I found that it was so difficult for most agencies to really understand. You've got the reputation groups that are all focused on reviews and moving it off to customer service, and then you are building some sort of a SEO dump of blog posts to cover up this nastiness that was written about you on 50 other sites. You've got the traditional content social teams who want to put the fluffy stuff of puppies and kittens out there, and they feel like they can do it. But I just, what I've found so often that even I as a customer am finding that so many brands don't know how to navigate, have the right Ray Donovan in place to really fix this
Mhm.
problem. And it's creating such customer service frictions today. I think one, the pushback is an agency always the right person to fix this?
Oh, it doesn't have to be. No. No, but you outlined the problem so well just now, and I don't even know if you realized that you did that, but you were like,
Probably
the
not.
SEO people are putting out
Yeah.
content and the marketing people are doing this. You know what they're not doing? They're skirting around the customer. They're dancing around the customer, but nobody's focused directly on the customer. You know who's focused directly on the customer? The fixer.
Mhm.
Customer support, customer service, socials, whatever you want to call it, customer care. Those people, literally, it is like their job and then some to
Yeah.
make sure that they understand the customer and make that customer happy, including would-be customers too, quite honestly.
So what do you see with most of the agencies today that are trying to tackle this that are not doing it well?
I see a lot of reliance on tools and chatbots. And I am not knocking tools and chatbots. I think they're wonderful, but I also think they have their
What about
place.
Wobots?
Oh my God, Wobot. Wobot tried very hard.
Yeah.
It didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
But we have humans. Like we put humans on shift and we're not 24/7 yet. We're working towards that. We're about 18/7 right now that we have shifts covered for our clients, and that includes holidays and weekends. But it's so important to have that human because you can train a bot to say it a certain way or answer this based on keywords, but and maybe bots will get to that place where it's like the conversation's more flowy and more human like, but as you know, right now it's just like if you see this keyword, answer like this.
Yeah,
If you see
exactly.
this keyword, answer like this. It's so disjointed. It's not especially when you're that angry customer and Shark's been on hold for 27 minutes, he does not want to talk to a bot. I can pretty much guarantee you.
Yeah, I have chapters of my book that are about me screaming at customer, at brands, poor people at customer service. I'm the old man yelling at kids to get out of their yard.
Get off my
Uh,
lawn.
yeah, get off my lawn. But it's everybody I talk to is running into the same problem, and I think part of the issue is that so many brands are reliant now, pushing people off only to have a conversation on Twitter, but not everybody wants to jump on Twitter. And then by the
Mhm.
time you do, you become a keyboard warrior, and then you get people writing nasty comments all over Facebook and everything else. Where do you see social evolving today, though? Because I do think a lot of what we're talking about is very much a Facebook and Twitter conversation. most companies I know are not really addressing like what TikTok is going to do as far as comments, but it's going to continue to evolve to some other platform. Instagram, you see that, but the comments are not as front and center as they are on Twitter or Facebook. It's
Yeah.
one of the things you see everything negative, and so much for, if you're on the brand side, you get focused on what the bigger channels are. As this evolves, somebody won't just post a nasty comment. They're going to start posting videos of how bad the service was. And I think that's going to start coming in droves very soon. I could see people doing it a lot more than they do. I mean, with the political season, you already see people doing that with candidates. But what about if somebody who's got 100,000 followers goes to TikTok and posts how bad you were with your brand and service? And it does happen now, but it's starting to become a more normal. And that's a much different piece to tackle than somebody wrote a negative review on Yelp. That's an easy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you, and again, this is a little bit of a tough question, but if you were kind of looking into your crystal ball of how not just social media was going to evolve, because I'm not trying to put that on you, but how do you think your business will need to evolve addressing customer care issues on social with other channels that start to expand beyond the traditional ones we've seen? Because your business is what, 9, 10 years old, your baby.
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll be 8 this
yeah,
year.
it's
Oh my God.
evolved a lot in
Yeah.
how we
Yeah.
communicate
Oh
just
my
in that
God.
time.
It has evolved a lot since like 3 months
2
ago,
weeks
since
ago. Yeah.
yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have an answer though.
Yeah.
And it's, because a lot of people would say, oh, well, you gotta know where your audience is and then go
Yeah.
there and be there. Okay.
Personas.
Like,
Personas.
easy.
Yeah.
Let me just go set up shop on all the places where all the people live. And then what if 10 of my audience members are on TikTok? So then I need to go set up shop on TikTok because 10 people are there and they're customers. The answer is not necessarily platform specific. It is tool specific, and that is social listening. I cannot believe that more companies, especially larger companies, do not use social listening, because social listening will tell you what people are saying on TikTok, on the internet, on Quora, on Reddit, on Instagram. Then you can see, you can quantify. Okay, there's 10 customers we know on TikTok, but they've mentioned us one time in the past 6 months. We're not going to go spend our time there. However, we haven't been putting stuff on Instagram, but we can see that there's conversation happening there on the daily. And even more than that, we can see that it's very negative. A lot of what people are saying is not getting good sentiment scores. So we need to invest some time and money into Instagram, not only to respond and join this conversation, but to try to turn that sentiment around. What are they talking about? Which, again, social listening, you can drill in to that negative conversation and actually see what they're talking about. We actually solved a problem for, we have a global luxury appliance brand. And we use social listening for this account because they're a customer care client. We kept seeing all this negative sentiment start to spike. And when we dug into the conversation, it was peer-to-peer. They were not mentioning the brand. I want to point that out. So this is not a reactive thing. This was a proactive thing. They were having these little conversations on different social sites and online about this coffee filter and this new product, this new cappuccino machine that they had released. They couldn't figure out how to change this filter and their very expensive cappuccino machine, and they were upset about it. We were able to see that and join the conversation, but also then go back to the client and say to the client, like, hey, where do you have information about changing the coffee filter? They're like, oh, it's in this giant, service manual that comes with the cappuccino machine. And we're like, do you think that your consumer wants to go to page 437 to figure out how to change the coffee filter? Or do you think maybe we should create a really quick video and put it on the product page so that when people go to Google, it's the first thing that pops up? And also when people are complaining it about social, we could say, oh, hey, Shark. Oh my God, isn't it a beast? Here's a video on how to change that. And so they did that. And what do you think happened? Negative sentiment went down, positive sentiment went up. This was all peer to peer. So what do we also see? We saw a correlation in sales going up for the very expensive coffee machine. So it's like social listening solved all those problems. That wasn't just a customer service problem. That wasn't just a marketing problem. That wasn't just a sales problem. That was like R&D. It covered so many different areas solved by one tool.
And they all start with S's too. All the social
Yes.
listening tools.
Oh, I can think of a D.
Sprouts,
I can think of a D.
Spreadfast.
D. I've got a D one. Digimind.
Yeah, that's true.
Digimind. But I think every other one is S.
So how much of the conversation are you having now with clients about the content and the likes and shares and all the stuff that really doesn't matter? Because from an engagement standpoint, it's fantastic. It's the vanity metric everybody gets pulled into. But if you're trying to grow a business, the customer experience aspect of that is really what's going to make or break a lot of your growth in your business, not just seeing, how many likes were on a post of those puppies and kittens. So I'm just curious how much of what you guys are doing now really is focused on the customer care with the more sophisticated buyers versus the social engagement type content that is still important. It's evolving.
Yeah, that has been a battle of ours for just about 8 years now. I've said from the beginning, like, please stop caring about likes. Please stop caring about followers. Like, yes, we want engagement. Like, it's not like the end all be all. So I would say right now, knowing that we've been fighting this battle since 2012, we're probably at about 60-40. 60% of our clients are there. They get it. They understand that there's metrics beyond likes, follows, shares, that kind of stuff. 40% are still like, I want more followers. I want more engagement. And we're, it's our job to constantly educate and handhold and cheerlead, but it's a long, hard battle.
Yeah, it's really hard too, because a lot of the tools that are made for social, they have really good dashboards as far as the vanity metrics, but they don't have good metrics for the blocking and tackling that most people are doing in a business. And that's unfortunate. It's part of the reason why social listening tools generally provide a much better insight. But
yeah,
for you, I know you guys also do the paid social as well. How much?
I was going to put my sales hat on for you. Yeah. I just wanted to add to what you were saying. Like if I put my sales hat on, like, and this is like sales team Brooke,
it's a cowboy hat.
To you, a lot of, oh yeah, it is a cowboy hat.
Imagine it, still.
A lot of people still come to me and want social media services, right? They want us to organically manage their social pages. And I'm like, okay, what's in a perfect world? What would happen if we did that? I would get more sales. And I'm like, you're going to get more sales from organic social media management. Yeah. And how do you, if in a perfect world, tell me how you see that happening. Well, you're going to post all this content and people are going to see it and they're going to like it and they're going to buy my stuff. And I'm like, oh man, That's a great story. But what you're actually talking about is advertising, is paid. Yeah. So there's still, that's why I think this battle's so hard.
Well, and I've worked for brands, one not that long ago, where, and this, you could pull this up on any brand. This is anything other than maybe your favorite sports team or, the Humane Society. If they ran an ad, then it draws out all the keyboard warriors to write everything negative, like your service stinks. And, here's this $19.95 offer, but it converts well. And there's a lot more. Social has become so much more important from a commerce perspective as well. But at the same time, it also draws so much ire from so many irate customers that it becomes such a problem for the people that are trying to grow the business, not just it's detrimental to your soul. It's because it takes away all the fun likes and shares you got on those puppy and kitten pictures. So how do you sort of deal with that with your clients who are looking at social media from a holistic standpoint of customer care, content, and paid advertising?
Yeah, we're lucky that we have a lot of clients who do have that holistic viewpoint.
Thick skin.
But yeah, that's exactly where I was going. Like, we have to constantly explain to them, like, look at the world. Look at just the society, the political climate. Look at what's happening today. You cannot expect to put something out there and not get this vitriol back. And if you don't want to see it, that's understandable, then maybe you shouldn't be on social at all. You should just like sit and close the doors and never talk to anybody, because
Amen.
unfortunately, this is where we are. This is the world we live in. So you can hide from it or you can face it head on and grow thick skin.
Yeah. Well, if you want to talk to them, they can talk back to you, and you better improve your service, because that's ultimately what it comes down
If
to.
you have something to say, oh my God, that's another great example. So during, this past year with all of the social justice stuff, we had a lot of clients say, okay, we want to put out this Black Lives Matter post and support. And we were like, listen, we are behind you. Obviously, we support Black Lives Matter as well. However, saying that you support Black Lives Matter is one thing. What are you doing to support Black lives? And if they weren't doing something actively to back that statement up, we said, you might not want to post that statement. And some of them against our advice and got slammed because that's the world we're living in. They don't want to see words. They want to see action.
Yeah. So when you're hiring, and this is a question about hiring the kind of people that fit all these roles. We've talked a little bit about customer care, about content management and creation, and about paid advertising. One of the things that always irritated me when I was on the brand side is when I would engage agencies and everybody looked like a freaking Stepford version of the next agency. Young person, 2 years out of school, they're really good in teams. And then you go to the next agency, XYZ or ABC, and they look the exact same. And I found that so often that they didn't understand how to really, they might have had a lot more followers, or they might have been able to create all the fluffy stuff that's important, again, from a brand standpoint. But again, all the blocking and tackling that goes into a business, it takes a different type of person. So what is your advice on how to hire and groom the right kind of people to go beyond what is traditional social media management?
Yeah, I think, what's funny is we do have some younger people on the team, but actually a lot of, I'm actually not even the oldest person on the team. There are people older than me, and I'm 40 for reference, who are in charge of social or in charge of ads and doing those things. And they are some of our best players. The older players are our best players. I'll just put that out there.
Now you're patronizing me.
No,
again, this wasn't to knock on young people. It's what's unfortunate is most of those people don't have.
They're not battle tested.
They're not battle tested. They haven't. I mean, for example, you started your business 10 years ago. Now that you're an entrepreneur and you've done this, or 8-9 years ago, there's so much you learn going through that process that I have as an entrepreneur, or having been on the business side, that a young person, unless they started a business right in school and managed social media and did the sales and did the billing and the accounting and listened to all the complaints, they don't know. I mean, I've always found that the best education I got in marketing was not working for Apple, which I worked with on the data side. I don't want to work only for the Zappos and the Starbucks and all the wonderful. Give me the brands that have had really bad, that battle test you quickly.
Yes.
And then once you do that, you look at social so much different than everybody else. And it's not necessarily a positive thing. It just, how to talk to a customer a lot differently.
Yeah. Startup experience is another important one I would look for if you're hiring, because again, if you've worked for a startup, you understand, like, you're going to wear multiple hats. You're going to work weird hours. It's non-standard all the time, every day, every day is a new fire. I also look for, what's really important to me is people who seem grateful. So if they've worked in hospitality,
humility.
Like hospitality people get that. Not nonprofit people, people who are grateful. I come from a nonprofit background and not a big one. So, I would talk to my girlfriends who worked at like Cancer Society, and, I was an event director. I had 12 events that I had to run, and I was responsible for almost $1 million. And they would be like, oh, well, doesn't your volunteer coordinator do that? Oh, well, doesn't your sponsorship coordinator do that? And I'm like, girl, that is me. You are looking, I do all the things. And I love looking for people who've done all the things in their background, whether it's for a startup or a nonprofit or whatever it may be, because those people appreciate everything that they're given. And when they're a grateful person who shines with gratitude and appreciation, oh my God, like those people really put it forth for the client. There are plenty of people who have the skills and can get it done and can knock it out and can wow people. But you can teach that stuff to people who have gratitude, and they're going to give you 10 times more with the skills.
Could not agree more. So I think I told you earlier that when I first found you or heard of you years ago, I was just seeing other people that had conferences or were speakers. Was it the Hello conference? Was that meant to mainly talk about customer care? Was it marketing in general, social media in general? What was sort of the twist on this? Because a lot of conferences look very vanilla as well. So I'm just curious how yours have evolved.
Yeah. So the Hello conference, which I only got to have once, we were supposed to have another one in 2020, but that didn't happen. So hopefully now we'll get to have the second one in 2021. I really wanted it for clients. But then also we invited outside people in too, but I wanted a way for the clients just to like hear us from a different perspective, right? They hear us on the phone, they see us in meetings, but I wanted them to see us as the thought leaders that we are, because I feel like every single team member we have is a thought leader. And then I'm connected to so many thought leaders who do so many amazing. I wanted to introduce them to those people. And the focus that we had for the first conference was like the intersection of data and artificial intelligence and humans, and why, the shiny object syndrome back then was artificial intelligence, data, blah, blah, blah. And my whole point was tools, amazing. Artificial intelligence, amazing. But you have to have amazing humans in that mix. Good marketing is at the intersection of AI tools and humans. You can't have one without the other. It doesn't work. So that was like the theme.
Perfect. No, it's perfect. So I also know you through our mutual friend, Mark Schaefer. What have you learned from the wonderful Mark Schaefer, who's a brilliant speaker and author? What have you learned from him over the last couple of years as you've been doing this and now that he's part of your team?
Yeah, Mark is a special human. We both have like a similar makeup, and then he's all about like human marketing, and I'm very into that, obviously. So we've always aligned there. But one of the things that I feel like he's constantly teaching me, and I'm still learning. Well, there's two things, I guess. One is that he is so willing to just down and have like these open, he gets on Facebook Live and just has these open, vulnerable, nothing to do with work or selling anything conversations. And I find that fascinating because I am reluctant to do stuff like that. I'm not the Instagram girl who has like crop top selfies. Like that's not me. I'm not that. So it's hard for me even to embrace like the Mark side of that, where he just gets on there and is like, let's chat. Like he's like the
Mark
Mr.
also
Rogers.
Doesn't have crop top selfies on.
He doesn't do crop top selfies either, but that's not going to be on my page.
Yeah.
And then that leads me to the second thing, which is I never wanted to be a speaker. I never wanted to like get in front of people and talk about like we're talking today. And he really, really pushed me kicking and screaming a few years ago into doing more speaking, because he was like, first of all, you're a woman and we need more women speakers, which I love about him. He's very supportive of, bringing women up. And he made me feel I had something to share and say, which I struggle with still, but I totally get it. Like once I started getting into the groove of speaking and doing more things, I'm like, oh my gosh, people have questions and I have answers, and that's such a great match. And I don't have to like worry about it like being this whole thing. It's just like, you have questions, I have answers. And if I don't have an answer, I just say, I don't know.
Well, Brooke, here's where we get to know you a little bit better. What do you do for fun?
Oh boy. I ride my horse, Diva, and that is her real name.
You have a horse named Diva. Okay. A Jersey horse, or is this a Texas horse?
Well, she's actually was born in Kentucky, believe it or not.
Okay.
But she's in Jersey now, and she was a Western horse when I got her, but I ride English. So we've been working on English riding, and she's begrudgingly turning into a beautiful English
She has a little bit of an
horse.
accent. So no.
Yeah.
So
She totally has an accent. She's
totally
like,
has an
Mom,
accent.
no, we're not doing this.
Well, I asked this of all my guests, what is your favorite kind of shark and why? And I also know that you have a shark story. So
Okay. I'm terrified of sharks. True. This is literally a true story. I promise you. Like, hand on diva. This is true. I had a bad dream about sharks last night.
oh, great.
Okay.
Getting
I'm
prepped for
petrified
this
of
show.
great white
Yeah.
shark.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm petrified of great white sharks, but I did swim with like little black tip
Reef
little.
sharks,
They,
yeah.
they seemed
Yeah.
big to me, but they're little.
Yeah.
And they're so fast, but they didn't seem interested in us unless we had like food in our hands, which I
No.
would not put in my hand around a shark. No, I value
No.
my hands.
So, Brooke, it's a special time in the show. Are you ready for the 5 most important questions that you're going to be asked today? And I think
I'm
you're going to
ready. Okay,
appreciate some
bring
of
it.
these. So you're originally from Houston via Dallas and now live in New Jersey. So Dallas Cowboys or New York Giants?
The Dallas Cowboys.
Thank you. Greatest team ever, despite the last 25 years. All
Yeah.
right.
Also, I believe more championships.
Yes.
if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
Yeah. That's what I'm holding on to as well. Just not in this century. All right. Number 2,
Yeah.
HubSpot or Hootsuite?
Ooh. I'm gonna go with HubSpot, given those two choices.
Okay. All right. Number 3, Twitter or Instagram?
Oh, Twitter. Twitter's my jam.
All right.
Twitter is my jam.
Here's one for you and I couldn't give you Sprout because I know you like them. So we're going to go with the
Right.
other 2 S's. Number 4 is Sprinkler or Spreadfast?
Sprinkler.
Okay.
Sprinkler. They're
The
good beats. I
alternative
like their
question was going to be Mark Schaefer or Tom Webster, the former co-host, but I couldn't do that. So we'll just go with the Sprinkler Spreadfast question. Number 5, and the most important question that you're going to be asked today is biscuits or cornbread?
Oh, that's terrible because they're both so good. But I think if I had to choose, I'd say biscuits. In my Southern accent.
Yeah, a
by the
little bit
way.
of a Paula Deen twist on there too. So, well, Brooke, where can people find out more about you, B Squared Media, customer care, social media management, all done for you and more?
They can go to bsquared.media, which is a not com. So it's bsquared.media, or easier, you could just Google Brooke Sellis. I'm pretty sure I'm the only Brooke Sellis on the planet, at least so far, my research so far. And literally you will find me and my social handles and B Squared Media and like all this other fun stuff that I've done. Like today, you would be able to Google my name and find this from today.
Perfect. Well, Brooke, thank you so much for being with us today on A Shark's Perspective.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. Biscuits!
So there was my conversation with Brooke Sellis, the CEO and founder of B Squared Media, a done-for-you social media management, advertising, and customer care agency. And she's also the co-host of the Marketing Companion podcast. Let's take a look at 3 key takeaways from my conversation with her. First, as you speak with customers or potential ones, the lines get blurred, not to them on a channel, but to you internally. Your team has to be armed with all the weapons to be able to sell, answer, explain, resolve, etc. Not with just one, because that's the specific department's focus, but it's where your customer is focused on you. And that handoff can be clunky when it goes to any of those teams, and so on, while trying to balance the right tone on a social media channel. It's apparent to customers that there isn't someone focused on them. Love it when Brooke described the social teams as they're skirting around the customer, they're dancing around the customer, but nobody's focused directly on the customer. So whether it's internal, external, or a combination of the two, break down as many silos as you can and figure out who is your Ray Donovan. I kind of miss that show. Second, I've been pondering a little while where social's going to go in the future, really with how people are influenced in a bad way and how they're going to react. Used to be nasty stuff written on Yelp or underneath a Facebook post, but that's way past evolved into more of a campaign-like structure that's developing some legs. You already see people posting Ring doorbell videos all the time when somebody does something bad, or the occasional delivery person doing something stupid, and so on. But what if they went with that content and started really building it out on social channels where you're not used to responding, like a TikTok? What would you do to combat that kind of content and campaign? This is something I'm going to continue to watch as well. Third, hiring for someone in social media for a brand or for an agency supporting a brand is always going to be difficult. I don't like to rant and talk about the children that so many teams employ now, but for a brand where it's not about me, it's about the brand. And that kind of social and service to a customer is a much, much different point of view. And that's regardless of whatever age someone is. Love it when she also discussed hiring the right kind of people and tools to use and not being too reliant on those tools and chatbots. She spoke about looking and hiring for gratitude. I often preach looking for humility. You can teach and learn the skills, but gratitude and humility will carry you much, much further with your customers and in life. Got a question? Send me an email to kenneth@asharksperspective.com. Thank you again for the privilege of your time. I think I'm going to pull up a Ray Donovan episode on demand and then I'll have to tweet about it. And then a little bit later, I will hopefully be joining you on the next episode of A Shark's Perspective.